I never imagined that one day I would tell this testimony, but what I lived changed my life forever. My name is Leandro, and my experience went beyond what human eyes can comprehend. One day, I was taken to a place of darkness, a place of pain and torment that the Bible describes as hell. The voices I heard were of pure suffering, screams of souls trapped in a state of eternal despair. I felt an unbearable weight on my heart, as if each lament was an open wound in the soul. The heat was unbearable, and the darkness even more oppressive. As I walked through this abyss of agony, I realized that each step echoed like a reflection of my own deepest doubts and fears. The shadows danced around me, forming indistinct figures that seemed to watch me with empty and condemning eyes. I tried to understand why I was there, but human logic seemed useless in the face of the intensity of this experience. Suddenly, a faint light appeared in the distance, breaking the suffocating darkness. Driven by a mix of hope and hesitation, I began to approach it, increasingly aware that this light could represent an exit or perhaps a new form of torment. As I got closer, the screams around me diminished, replaced by an unsettling silence that amplified every beat of my heart. I arrived at a crossroads where three paths lay before me. Each seemed to lead to an unknown destination, and the decision of which one to follow became increasingly distressing. The first trail was lined with pillars of black stone, exuding a cold that penetrated to the bones. The second meandered through a foggy valley where shadows moved in an almost imperceptible manner. The third, surprisingly, emanated a soft pulsating light, as if silently calling. As I pondered which direction to take, a presence appeared beside me. It was an ethereal figure whose form seemed to float between the real and the imaginary. Its eyes, deep and unfathomable, fixed on mine with a mix of compassion and mystery. Without saying a word, it extended a hand, as if inviting me to follow or perhaps to understand something fundamental about my journey. The air around me began to vibrate with an inexplicable energy, and a sense of urgency took hold of me. I knew that the choice I made at that moment would define not only my immediate destiny, but also the perception I would have of the entire experience I was living. With a racing heart and a tumultuous mind, I took the first step into the unknown, leaving behind the safety of rationality and completely surrendering to the enigma unfolding before me. As I walked through that place, I was guided by a presence I couldn't see but knew was there. It was then that, amidst the shadows, I saw someone who seemed familiar. His face, marked by suffering, was unmistakable. It was Michael Jackson. His gaze was not that of a world-famous star, but of someone lost in deep sorrow. He recognized me, and with a trembling voice said, "I thought I had everything, but I lost the most important thing." His words echoed inside me like a warning. I felt a shiver run down my spine as I tried to comprehend the depth of his emotions. The faint lights of the place reflected on the surrounding surfaces, creating an almost ethereal environment. Michael took a step forward, and I could see the invisible scars he carried, not just the physical marks, but the emotional wounds that consumed him. "You don't understand," he continued, his voice laden with hopelessness. "All the fame, the success. It seemed like I had finally found what I was looking for, but in reality, I was distancing myself from what truly mattered." His eyes fixed on mine, seeking something I still couldn't identify. I tried to respond, but the words seemed stuck in my throat. The silence between us was palpable, filled only by the distant sound of echoes that seemed to come from another dimension. Michael extended his hand, as if wanting to reach me, but there was an invisible barrier separating us. "There is so much you can learn," he whispered, his voice now almost inaudible. "Don't let the shadows of success obscure the light that truly matters." I felt a mix of sadness and urgency in his words, as if he was trying to convey a vital message to me. Suddenly, a gust of wind swept through the environment, making the shadows dance in a disturbing manner. Michael began to fade slowly, as if being pulled back into the darkness from which he came. Before I could say anything, his figure dissipated, leaving behind only the feeling of loss and the reverberation of his words. I stood there, trying to process what had just happened. The presence that was guiding me seemed to have disappeared along with him, leaving me alone in that mysterious place. The shadows still moved around me, but now they carried a new meaning, as if each one held secrets and lessons yet to be discovered. As I tried to find a way back, Michael's words continued to resonate in my mind, encouraging me to seek something deeper and more true. I realized that this experience was not just a casual encounter, but a call to reflect on my own choices and priorities. The journey was only beginning, and I knew there was still much to learn and understand about that invisible presence guiding me. I was speechless, trying to understand why he was there. Then he continued, "I sought the truth in many ways, but I distanced myself from the only one that could save me." As he spoke, tears streamed down his face. He wasn't dancing, he wasn't smiling, he wasn't shining like before. What I saw was just a broken spirit, a man who, despite all his talent and fame, was now facing a truth he could no longer deny. Silence hovered between us, laden with memories and a past that seemed distant. I remembered the nights when his laughter echoed through the halls, lighting up every room with contagious energy. Now that light had gone out, leaving only shadows where there was once liveliness. He looked down, his hands trembling slightly, as if the weight of his revelations was crushing every fiber of his being. "I thought I could control everything," he murmured, his voice choked with emotion. "That my achievements, my victories, could fill the void I felt inside." Each word seemed to carry a painful truth, a silent confession that behind the facade of success, there was an internal battle he could no longer hide. I felt a mix of compassion and perplexity, trying to find the right words to comfort him, but realizing that perhaps there was not enough solace to ease his pain. He raised his gaze, his eyes meeting mine with an intensity that revealed the depth of his suffering. "I needed to distance myself," he said, his voice almost a whisper. "But now I see that distancing only isolated me further. The truth I sought was right before my eyes all along." As he reflected on his choices, I could see that his journey was far from over, that there were still many paths to tread in search of redemption and understanding. I wanted to extend my hand, to say something that would help him, but I knew there was no more hope there. His time was up, his regret was real, but too late. The despair in his eyes made me realize something. Hell makes no distinction between the rich and the poor, the famous and the unknown. Everyone who rejects the truth faces the same destiny, and there, before me, was the proof of that. The distant flames cast dancing shadows on the cold walls of the environment, creating a disturbing contrast with the empty expression on his face. Each breath seemed to weigh tons on his shoulders as he struggled to comprehend the magnitude of his choices. Memories of lost moments, wasted opportunities, and unspoken words echoed in his mind, forming an unbearable cacophony that drowned him in remorse. As I watched, I realized it wasn't just him. There was a multitude of souls around us, each carrying their own stories of failures and denials. Some murmured silent prayers, others screamed in agony, trying to find some solace in the void that surrounded them. The atmosphere was dense, charged with an energy that seemed to absorb any trace of hope. I moved a little closer, feeling the intensity of the presence that enveloped us. It was as if time itself had stopped, trapping us in that eternal limbo. The walls around us began to dissolve, revealing glimpses of other realities where different choices could have led to different destinies. But here, all the roads converged to the same endpoint, where the truth imposed itself mercilessly. As I reflected on the inevitability of that place, a feeling of helplessness washed over me. I wanted to understand, wanted to find a way to escape, but reality imposed itself relentlessly. Each step we took seemed to lead us deeper into the darkness, where there was no return. The voices around us intensified, forming a chorus of laments that echoed incessantly, constantly reminding us of the consequences of our actions. In this desolate scenario, I began to question the very nature of truth and justice. Was this the destiny reserved for everyone, or was there a chance, however small, for redemption? Doubts permeated my mind, mingling with the overwhelming certainty that we were trapped in an endless cycle of punishment. And so, as the shadows deepened and the darkness seemed to swallow everything around us, I continued to walk, seeking answers that might never be found. What I saw at that moment changed my view on life. We always think we have time, that we can repent tomorrow, that we can seek God later. But what if tomorrow never comes? Michael Jackson was one of the most famous men in the world, admired by millions. But in that place, none of that mattered. He would trade all his glory for a single chance to go back and do everything differently. As I watched the city lights reflecting on the tranquil surface of the lake, the reality of finitude imposed itself with painful clarity. Fame, achievements, applause, everything seemed so distant and at the same time so insignificant in the face of the enormity of what truly matters. I thought about how many times we let ourselves be carried away by routine, believing that there is always a next opportunity to correct our mistakes, to express our feelings, to live more authentically. Michael, with all his brilliance and talent, faced internal battles that few could understand. The loneliness that accompanies tremendous success is a shadow that extends beyond the spotlights, penetrating the depths of the being. He who had the world at his feet longed for something that not even the immensity of his career could fill: peace with himself, the chance to rewrite crucial moments of his life. Reflecting on this, I realized how many times we put off what really matters. Sincere conversations, gestures of affection, the search for spiritual meaning, all relegated to an undefined plan of later. But time, relentless, does not wait. And what if that later never comes? The uncertainty of tomorrow traps us in a cycle of postponement, where procrastination disguises itself as planning. At that instant, the image of Michael Jackson served as a mirror for my own hesitations and regrets. The possibility of looking back and wishing I had acted differently is a reality we all carry. It's not just about big decisions, but also the small moments that shape our existence. Each choice, each step taken or left behind, builds the narrative of our lives. As the sky began to darken, the stars appearing timidly, I felt a renewed urgency to live more consciously, to value the present, recognize the beauty in simplicities, and not wait for an ideal moment that may never come. Michael's story taught me that, regardless of external circumstances, true transformation begins from the inside out, with the will to change and the courage to face our own demons. And so, sitting by the lake, I let this reflection deepen, knowing that each day is a unique opportunity to rewrite our own story before eternal silence completely envelops us. When I returned, I felt as if my soul had been ripped from hell and returned to my body. My heart was pounding, my breath was heavy, but what remained was an unshakable certainty. God is real, heaven is real, and hell is too. No one is immune to divine justice, and our life is fragile as a breath. We cannot play with eternity. From that moment of revelation, I began to question every choice I made throughout my existence. Decisions that once seemed insignificant gained a new perspective, as I now understood that each action carries eternal weight. The awareness that we are constantly being watched by a supreme presence brought a greater responsibility to live according to higher principles. This new understanding led me to seek a path of redemption and personal improvement. I realized that the search for meaning goes beyond material achievements and momentary satisfactions. It is a spiritual journey that requires introspection, humility, and the constant desire to align oneself with the divine will. The sense of the fragility of human life reinforced the importance of valuing each moment, cultivating genuine relationships, and acting with compassion and justice. Furthermore, the certainty of the existence of heaven and hell prompted me to reflect on the purpose of our earthly passage. It is not just about living, but about how we live and the marks we leave behind. The temporality of life contrasts with the eternity of consequences, highlighting the urgency to live with intention and purpose. This duality between the finite and the infinite shapes the way we face our challenges and our victories, reminding us that each moment is an opportunity to choose good and turn away from evil. Facing this reality, the feeling of being in constant divine judgment can be both terrifying and liberating. The idea that our actions have eternal repercussions calls us to a life of integrity and authenticity. It is a call to transcend worldly concerns and embrace a fuller existence, guided by values that endure beyond the reach of time and space. Today, I share this experience so that you reflect on your own life. Amid the rush of daily life, we often forget to look inward and question our purpose and direction. It is easy to get lost in the distractions and challenges that arise, but the essence of our existence goes beyond temporal concerns. There is still time to seek God, to give your heart to Him, regardless of where you are in your journey. The invitation for a deeper connection with the divine is always open. Seeking God does not mean just participating in rituals or religious practices, but rather cultivating a genuine and sincere relationship. It is opening space for spirituality in your life, allowing faith to guide your decisions and illuminate your path. Living in a way that your eternity is beside Him and not in eternal darkness is a call to reflect on the choices we make daily. Each action, each thought, each decision contributes to the construction of our spiritual legacy. Choosing to live with purpose, love, and compassion not only enriches our earthly life, but also shapes our eternal destiny. If there is one thing I have learned, it is that humanity's greatest mistake is believing that there will always be a second chance. This belief can lead us to procrastinate important decisions, to delay necessary changes, and to neglect what really matters. Life is unpredictable, and the opportunity to align our existence with spiritual values may not repeat itself. Therefore, it is essential to act with intention and awareness, valuing each moment as a unique opportunity for growth and transformation. The spiritual journey is an invitation to live with purpose and meaning. If you have reflected on your life and felt the call to seek a deeper connection with the divine, this is the perfect moment to act. Subscribe to our channel to receive more inspiring content that will help you walk a path of light and hope. Share this testimony with your friends and family and tell us what you think of this message. Your participation is essential to building a community full of peace, love, and purpose. Do not wait for a second chance to seek what really matters. Open your heart, seek God, and transform your life today. Subscribe now and be part of this transformation. Share with others and spread hope.